I really want you to pay close attention to our next speaker, something totally different. And let me just tell you how this all happened. I've known him for some time. He was actually an investor in another company in which we did pretty well, and so he was willing to take an audience with Ryan and me probably about 2 months ago. And we initially went out to Palm Springs to talk with him about a business opportunity involving ACTIVZ. And what happened is that we got to know him more and understand what really he's passionate about. And really my focus switched from the business side in terms of saying, how can we get Mike Murphy involved with us? How can we get what he's so passionate about, what he's become a great consultant, author, speaker, world-renowned for all of these things that he's talking about. How can we inculcate that into the ACTIVZ culture and environment? And so when I read his book that he'll talk about a little bit today, I said, we've got to have him at this event. So I think with no further ado, well, actually, Ryan, you did a little bit of looking into this as well. So
I may have a little bit more further ado. I'll say this. I love hearing what Dave was saying. Mike Murphy, who you're going to meet in just a second, had my attention when he said, you know what, you should take your shoes off, go barefoot, and go stand in the earth. Because the earth is vibrating at a frequency of, what was it, 7.38? And I thought, this guy's crazy. But the more we talked to him, the more interesting it became. And I went home and I watched all of his videos. He's got his own radio show, and I agree 100% with David. I was thinking the same thing. We need this guy in ACTIVZ. This guy has some very interesting life experiences that will add a tremendous amount of value. So I want to say that. He may or may not tell us to take our shoes off and go stand in the dirt. If he does, don't worry. I've done it, and I'm still here. I'm okay. Nothing happened. But I think, without further ado, David, you want to finish the sentence?
Bring him on.
Let's bring him
Mr.
out,
Mike
guys.
Murphy.
The one and only Mr. Mike Murphy.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Wow, what an incredible day this has been. I've been greatly inspired by all these wonderful speakers and really blown away. You know, this material that I'm going to present to you today, this concept is so unique and so powerful. And if you apply it and take it home with you, all this energy, this entire experience, you can take it home with you and live it every day. But more importantly, if you're struggling with any habits you haven't been able to break, it'll help you do that. If you want to attract the love of your life, or you want to create a better relationship with your spouse or your children, it will help you do that. It's really a miracle process that I'm going to give you in 20 minutes. I'm going to hope to give you enough spark to get you to embrace it and explore it a little further. But I know it's been a really, really long day, and I want to increase the energy in this room so that you can really get this. So is anybody familiar with what's called a whoa clap? Anybody ever done that before? Okay, if you'll indulge me for 1 minute, everybody stand up, please. And we're going to do what I call a whoa clap. I was really moved by Ed's talk, which is asking money, right? So I'm going to give you a little example how it works, and then we're going to do it together, okay? So for about 10, 15 seconds, I'll go first, and then I'll ask you to join on. And when we do this, we're going to go ask, 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 ask. Then we're going to go, whoa, money. Okay, you guys got that? Any questions? Okay, here we go. Ask, 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 ask. Whoa, money. All right, good job. Sit down, please. Thank you. You know, these guys forgot me to hand me my little thing here. Thank you. And yeah, exactly, Tony Robbins. You're absolutely right. And whatever they're doing to him right now, I think there's a hidden agenda there, and they're destroying a good man for no reason. So I hope you ignore all that stuff. So I got to tell you, first of all, I might hit the wrong button here. Okay, there we go. So I got to congratulate this company. You know, as David mentioned, I met him in his other company, and I invested some money, and I've made a ton of money back. And I've always thought the world of him and the way he operates, and today has been an eye-opening experience of the quality of the people that he's able to bring here. And so when he asked me to come here, first of all, I gave him my book, as he mentioned, you know, and as an author, you never know, you know, if somebody's going to read your stuff, right? And a few weeks later, he texts me, I'm in a hotel room, I'm halfway through your book, man, I love this stuff, right? And I go, thank you very much. You know, as an author, you like to hear that, right? You don't know if you're really reaching people. So I really appreciated that. Then a couple weeks later, he calls me up, and he says, Mike, I finished your book. I love it. Would you mind coming to Salt Lake City for our launch of the USA part of the company? I said, I'd be honored to. So that's why I came here, for one reason, because I like and respect David. But the real reason I came here is I've learned that whenever I'm asked to serve, to rearrange my schedule if I can and say yes and show up. Because I've learned that we're all connected. And if I can come here and serve you like somebody served me in 1982 and taught me this material, which dramatically changed my life, and we're all connected, and if you benefit and you benefit others, that comes back to me, not 1x, not 10x, 50x, 100x. And then I am blessed beyond my wildest dreams. My motto is, you can't outgive God. And that's how I live my life. And it's blessed me beyond my wildest dreams. So, here's the book. It's called The Creation Frequency. And it's about the law of attraction. But it's taught in a way that's never been taught. I don't know, there's probably hundreds. I've read probably 100 books on law of attraction. This man that I refer to in my book, The Mystery Man, he taught me this back in January of 1982. Radically changed my life. And a lot of people don't understand the law of attraction, and some people think, well, I tried it, it didn't work. Well, every speaker that spoke today referenced the law of attraction. In fact, everybody in the world is using the law of attraction. The problem is we use it unconsciously until we learn how it really works. And then we have a power that will just change your life dramatically. And that's what I want to share with you today. So, I hate telling this story, but I'm going to tell it anyways, because I want you to understand where I was when I met the Mystery Man in January of 1982. Because I want you to know that wherever you are in life, I was 10 times probably worse off. And if I could grasp this and radically change my life around, I know that you can too. So where was I? Well, I was 24 years old. I'd grown up in an alcoholic home. At 14 years old, I was in so much pain that I got on a bus in downtown Cincinnati, got off in Lexington, Kentucky, about 60 miles away, with $4 in my pocket, and started hitchhiking. And that created a lifestyle of constantly running away, which led to a lot of time in juvenile hall, which led to a lot of alcohol and drug abuse, led to a disaster of a life. And somehow, at the age of 21, I found some girl that would marry me. And two lonely people, don't know each other, get married, you're going to probably end up with a problem. And 2 years later, we had a baby. And 2 months after we had that baby, my life was a mess. We were living with her parents, her 5 siblings. I couldn't work. I couldn't stop drinking. I couldn't stop using drugs. I was totally humiliated by the quality of my life, and I did the pattern that I always did. On a Sunday afternoon in front of her parents and her siblings, I took my clothes, I didn't even own a car, I threw it in one of their cars, and I took off and I partied for a week. Then a week later, I called her up and I said, Lisa, I'm ready to come home. Well, she's a little different than my parents that always brought me back. She said, no, thank you. So 2 years later, I'm divorced. I'm in a 12-step program. I have a negative net worth of $40,000. I have an 8th grade education. I'm a mess. But more importantly, I'm dying inside. I'm in such emotional pain. I totally have ruined my life. I still want to be with her, and I don't want some other guy raising my daughter. I suffered every day intensely, and so I couldn't stop using drugs. So a friend I'd met in the 12-step program said, Mike, your life's a mess. Now, when a guy in a 12-step program tells you your life's a mess, believe me, your life's a real mess. But he said, I might know somebody that can help you. So he gave me the guy's number. I called him up. The guy said, sure, come on over. In my book, when I wrote the book, I couldn't remember his name, so I referred to him as the Mystery Man. I now know his name is Doug Fitzgerald. I hired a private investigator. I now know he passed away in 2011. I also know that he was a Mensa. I know that he was brilliant. But I didn't know that when I knocked on his door. And I was so broke, I was driving a 1971 Ford Pinto. And that car, if you got rear-ended, it used to blow up and kill you. And mine had been in a minor accident, and the driver door wouldn't shut. So I had to drive with the window down and my hand out here so the door wouldn't fly open. So it's a typical cold winter Northern California day, and I arrive at the Mystery Man's house, soaking wet, disheveled hair, and I'm not very impressed by the neighborhood. I'm not very impressed by his house. And I knock on the door, and here I thought I would find a guru, and here's just an ordinary guy. So he comes, come on in, tell me your story. So I tell him my story. We're sitting at his kitchen table. And he said, Mike, here's the deal. If you come here 1 week a month, or 1 hour a week for the next 7 weeks, and now he got right in my face, I promise you'll get everything that you truly desire in your life. And it's only $50 a week. Well, I didn't have 50 cents, but I did have a checkbook. And back in those days, you could write a check and you had 3, 4, 5 days to cover it. So I scribbled out a check. He said, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to teach you how the universe really works. And I'm going to teach you how powerful you really are. And each week, we're going to write an intention for 6 weeks. And on the 7th week, I'm going to give you the secret that will dramatically change your life and bring all of these desires and intentions into your life. I said, why 6? Someone mentioned this earlier. I think it was Dr. Maroon. He said, because you have to have a balanced life, Mike. See, we're sitting at this table. If I were to cut off one of the 4 legs, what would happen? The table would fall off. And that's what happens to our life, and that's what Dr. Maroon is saying. If we get out of balance, if we just work, okay, we're going to lose our health or we're going to lose our family. So you have to have a balanced life. I said, well, what are the areas? He said, we're going to do one on relationship. We're going to do one on your career. We're going to do one about money. We're going to do one about personal development or health. We're going to do one about contribution, and so on and so forth. And in the 7th week, I'm going to give you the magic secret. Well, I sat there, told him my life story, and he said, let me tell you one thing. Yes, you made a mess of your life, and yes, you need to own that. But it's really not your fault. Because you see, we're programmed. We're programmed from birth to about age 7. That child is a sponge. That child is actually in a state of hypnosis. That child picks up language and every other thing and every other belief system based on the parents, based on the media, based on their friends, based on their relatives. We are just being programmed by other people. And he says, that's what happened to you. You got programmed with these belief systems that didn't serve you. And you come with an owner's manual. So you didn't know how to erase them and instill new ones. And that's what we're going to be doing. He said, let me tell you this, Mike. Your subconscious mind is running 95% of your life. Your conscious mind, your creative mind, is when you're actually running your life and creating things. But most of your patterns have already been instilled. And that's why we sabotage relationships. My wife might say something to me, and if I haven't reprogrammed myself, I might react because it reminded me something that's already in my program. And she didn't mean anything like that, but I explode because I don't understand what's going on. So, he goes, what's most important to you right now? Man, I really want to get my wife back. My daughter. It's breaking my heart. He goes, what we're going to do is we're going to write an intention for that desire. I didn't know what intention was. I said, what's an intention? He says, a goal, it's a desire, it's something. He said, here's one part of the magic, Mike. We're going to write it as if it already exists. Because here's the truth, folks. It already did exist. I think it was John when he was introducing Ryan. What a fascinating story, right? But he said ACTIVZ existed before it existed. See, everything that comes into our physical reality starts as a desire or a thought. If it starts as a thought and we link a lot of desire to it, it comes into our physical reality. If it starts as a thought or it starts as a desire, then we create a plan with our brain and it comes into our physical reality. Everything that's this thing, everything that comes in this physical reality, including your children, starts as a desire, a thought, a plan. So we write this intention. Lisa and I are so happily married. Our daughter Michelle thrives in this marriage. Now, this woman hated my guts, okay, deservedly so. Our life is incredible. Our love for one another grows each and every single day. Wow. So as I'm writing this, when he's helping me, I'm actually starting to feel a little better. I'm actually starting to feel like, whoa, maybe there's hope, you know? So he goes, come back next week, Think about what else you want to work on in these 6 areas, and we'll write another intention. So I go back the following week, and he says, what do you want to do this week? I said, I'd really like to own my own business. I really don't like working for people. You know, I ran away before, I'm a pretty rebellious guy, and I want to own my own business. He said, okay, let me tell you this, Mike. I'll tell you how the subconscious mind works. Your subconscious mind, every second, is processing over 1 million bits of information every second. Over 1 million bits of information every second. Then it delivers to your conscious mind only 40 bits of information, because that's all the conscious mind can handle. And the subconscious mind doesn't judge. It chooses those 40 bits of information to deliver to your conscious mind, your thinking mind, based on what it thinks you truly desire. So if I walk around all day as I'm a loser, nothing ever works out, I always fail, I hate my life, that subconscious supercomputer, ladies and gentlemen, let me put a little brain up there for you, a little visual. That supercomputer is processing those million bits of information to support that belief system that you have. And he said, here's the other thing. You're made up of 50 trillion living individual conscious cells, fighting to create this vessel called a body that houses your heart and your soul and your supercomputer. And they hear and feel everything. Do you want them pumped up and firing at optimum speed? Or do you want them sad, depressed, okay? There's so much things going on here, ladies and gentlemen. And once we understand it, we have the magic key. So we write this intention. Now, in my background, I started washing dishes at age 15, and that's the only career I ever knew. And so we wrote an intention that I would own my own restaurant. Once again, I love owning my own business. My wife and my daughter help me. We love it. I love serving our customers. I love serving our employees, as if it already exists. The third week, I come back. He goes, what this week? I go, I want to make $10,000 a month. I was waiting tables at TGI Fridays at lunchtime, and then I'd drive an hour to wait tables at a steakhouse, working my butt off to pay my $187 child support, and making $2,000 a month. He says, Mike, money's easy. Money is called currency for a reason. He said, have you heard of Nikola Tesla? I said, no, I haven't. He said, Nikola Tesla was a genius. Tesla was the one that invented electricity, not Edison. And Tesla said, if you want to understand the universe, you have to think in terms of energy, vibration, and frequency. So all these intentions, these goals, these desires, they're energy. And they're all vibrating at a certain frequency. And when you embody them, and you start vibrating at that frequency, then it starts to show up in your life. Now, I know David Brown knows a little bit about the law of attraction. That's why I gave him my book. Because I know in LifeVantage and I know in this company, he attracts a lot of bald people. So we write this intention. Man, I love making this money. I love multiplying my income by 5x. I love making $10,000 a month. My family's blessed. My life is blessed. We have financial freedom. Come back to next week. Okay, what about this week, Mike? Well, you know, I eat a lot of bad food. I don't exercise. I'm a little overweight. I'd like to get in shape, and I think I'd like to run a marathon to do it. So we write that intention. Run a marathon. Get in shape, because I'm starting to understand, I'm starting to grow, I'm starting to evolve, and I understand that if I don't have good health, I'm never going to have any wealth. Come back to next week. Okay, Mike, what is it this week? Well, I'd really love to own my own home. You know, create a place for my wife and my daughter, and maybe future children, and You know, I don't know how to do it. I got no credit but bad credit. And, but man, I just really want this, so we write another one, you know. We have this beautiful home, 4 bedrooms. We have this beautiful green lawn. I see myself out there cutting the grass. My wife's out there planting flowers every spring. Vivid picture. You know, the Bible says, and we've talked a lot about vision here, the leaders in this company, they have vision. This is an exciting company because you have great leaders with great vision. And the Bible says where there is no vision, the people will perish. I'm here in Mormon country. I thought everybody would know that verse, but. And then the 6th week, Mike, contribution. What kind of contribution do you make? Oh, man. Well, first of all, I was a self-centered, narcissistic person, okay? Contribution? Dude, I'm fighting for dear life just to freaking go another day here, okay? Now you want me to contribute? Giving is living, he told me. That's the power. In fact, the more giving to others you can attach to all these intentions, the more powerful emotion, the highest being love, you can attach to these goals, desires, intentions, the faster they'll come to you. Okay, I had to sit and think about that one for a long time. Now, I knew my father's story. My father grew up in an alcoholic home with 2 alcoholic parents. His father died when he was 11, cirrhosis of the liver. When he was 21, his mother passed out with a lit cigarette and died a week later of smoke inhalation. When he was 13, his mother had tons of boyfriends, tons of booze, and he got in a fight with one of the boyfriends and somebody got stabbed. I don't know if it was the boyfriend or my dad. And he ended up the ward of the state of California. Eventually got out of juvenile hall and his aunt raised him. So that was always, my father wouldn't talk about it. And part of my dysfunction is my father didn't know how to love because he never got any. And you can't love too much, ladies and gentlemen. That's the power. That's what holds all this glue together. Okay. Love is the power. Compassion, service. We need to create a better world. I think you all see that, right? And that's what we got to do. You know, there's 7.3 billion people in the world today. If half of us would lift up somebody less fortunate, this entire thing shifts in a moment. The wars stop, these crazy politicians disappear, and we create a beautiful world. I really do believe that things are falling apart right now. And for those of us that go through the tough times and survive it, we're going to usher in heaven back onto earth. That's my hope. That's why I do what I do. So there we have it. 6 weeks, 6 intentions. I can't wait to come back for the week 7 and get the secret. So I pull up, still with the car windows rolled down, and the weather's getting a little better. We're into February now. And he goes, okay, Mike, here's what we're going to do. He comes back. He goes, I'll be right back. He comes back. He's carrying some items. He hands me a typewritten paper on white paper. He calls it a relaxation script. He's got a boom box. Now, for you youngsters in the room, that's what we used to listen to music on, okay? He has a tape recorder and a microphone. He says, Mike, I'm going to put theta brainwave music into the boom box, and it's going to play in the background. You are going to record this relaxation script into the tape recorder on a blank cassette tape, and your 6 intentions. Okay? I read the relaxation script, I record it, I read my 6 intentions, I record it, and we're finished. Now I'm starting to think if this guy's crazy and he just ripped me off for $350, right? So I leave that room, 7 weeks later, $350 poor, with a white cassette tape. Then he says, I want you to listen to this every morning right when you wake up, and every evening right before you go to sleep. I said, why then? He said, because you know that little baby was in hypnosis? Well, we're going to put you into a self-hypnotic trance. That's what the relaxation script does, and that's what the theta brainwave music does, because we got to pierce that conscious mind where the judge lives, where the critic lives, where the insane asylum, the committee of psychopaths are always saying, you can't do that, you're going to fail, you're a loser, blah, blah, blah. We got to pierce all that, okay? And we got to put this new programming into the subconscious mind, because that's where the power is. Many of you flew here, I'm sure, on a jet, and there was a guy up there, but who's really flying the plane? The autopilot, that supercomputer. So we got to take care of our supercomputer, and we got to tell that supercomputer what we want. So he says, when you first awake, you're going from alpha to theta. And right before you go to sleep, you're going from beta to theta before you get to alpha. That is the best time to pierce the conscious mind, reprogram the subconscious mind, and that's why the baby is picking all that stuff up. Now, how do we learn after age 7 or 8? And let me just add this as well. The Jesuits say, give me a child until age 7, and I'll show you the man. And that man will never leave the church. That's the power of programming. That's why they call TV programming. They're programming us every day, folks, not for stuff that's going to serve us, stuff that serves them. They give us 12 minutes of fear, then they sell us a Big Mac or a Whopper. They're not stupid. So we're going to reprogram your subconscious mind. And the other thing you're doing, Mike, as I said, everything is energy, vibration, and frequency. And what I love about today's world with cell phones, how can I call someone in China? How can I text someone in Russia? Frequency. All that's driving through frequency. And he says, we live in a field of infinite possibility. This is an empty space, ladies and gentlemen. That's why dogs can hear certain things we can't hear. We live in a field of infinite possibility. When you study quantum physics, you realize what's really going on. It's all atoms. And atoms are 99% space. This solidity is an illusion when you really get this. So when you're listening, Mike, that energy, that vibration, that frequency is going out into the universe. And your subconscious mind is attached to everybody else's subconscious mind. And the creator of all this, you're attached to as well. That's where the ideas come, once you tell it what you want. The Bible says, don't judge lest you be judged. The subconscious doesn't judge. God doesn't judge. He gives us free will. So then, that energy goes out. And all of a sudden, the right people start to show up. The right ideas, the right funding, the right plans. These guys know it. They just created this out of nothing, ladies and gentlemen. It started as a desire in Ryan's heart. The plan started in material, and he believed. That's where the power is. You got to believe what I'm saying. Now, I know some of you are going to be skeptical, and that's okay. You're going to just keep living the same life. If you're loving every area of your life, keep doing it. But if you believe me, you believe what I'm going to tell you, and you just try it for a little while, you'll believe it. Power of belief. So, I listened. I'll be honest, I didn't listen every morning and every night, okay? I did my best. I got to tell you, when I'm picking up my daughter so my wife can go out on a date with a doctor, it's really kind of hard to listen to how happily married we are, okay? And when I'm flat broke, it's really hard to listen sometimes how I'm making 10 grand a month. But I kept the faith just like Ryan did to build this business for you guys. So I would listen. Painful as it was sometimes, I'd listen and trust and believe. And when I didn't, I'd get back up and I'd keep doing it again. And when I failed, I'd get back up and I'd keep doing it again. That's the secret to success. I don't have to tell you guys this. Life is hard. Life is freaking hard. There's one of my favorite books. I'm a big reader of books, and it's The Road Less Traveled, M. Scott Peck. Opening line is, life is hard, okay? Trust me. And that's okay, because that's when I grow. When things get tough, I fail, or circumstances beyond my control devastate me, that's when we rise up. That's when we see who we are, how much character we have, how much strength, how much courage we have. And I know everybody in this room knows that. That's why you're here. You had the courage to take this step and to be here, and I applaud you for that. I just want to help you go even higher, faster, bigger, greater in a balanced life. In a balanced life. It's not all about money. That's one thing I've learned. So, I listen. Would you like to know what happened to those 6 intentions? I'm out of time. I'm sorry. David said I could go a little over. So, the first thing that happened is where I was staying, nearby, a restaurant closed. It was the third owner that had shut it down, failed. And it was a fast food fried chicken place. And I had worked for Foster Farms Fried Chicken. They'd opened some restaurants, and I worked for them. So I knew that business. It was close to where I was living. So I'd go down there and I'd see myself, through the window, cooking and at the cash register and with my people and with happy customers. Sort of vision. And I found out who owned it. I got a hold of him. I said, hey, what's up? Well, how can I get this thing? He said, well, you got to, I'll give it to you cheap, but you got to, it's a big landlord. They're probably not going to lease it to you. I go, let me go talk to him. In fact, the landlord owned part of the Oakland Raiders with Al Davis. So I meet with them. Now, one of my gifts is I'm Irish, so I have a lot of what they call blarney, or bullshit. Okay? So I meet this guy, and somehow I persuade him. So now I got a guy that will sell it to me for not a lot of money. I got a landlord that will lease it to me. Guess what I don't have? Money. Then one day, I download, I believe, from the creator of all, my God, an idea comes. Put an ad in the newspaper and ask for investors. Well, back then, people read newspapers and you could put ads in them. It was like $20, right? So I put an ad in the newspaper. And I decided to call it California Fried Chicken, the fastest growing franchise in the country. Of course, we haven't opened one yet, and the phone started to ring. So now I had to create a business plan. And then I had to go talk to people that were wealthy and intimidating and had money and smarter than me. And somehow, I found 3 guys to invest $8,000 each, and now I'm a restaurant owner. Intention number 1. Did it fall into my lap? I mean, I had the desire, I created the intention, but man, it was pretty magical how it happened. So now I'm listening to that tape a little bit more often. This next thing that happened after a year, a friend of mine comes by one day. I go, hey, what are you doing? He goes, hey man, I started selling cars. I go, well, what's that like? He goes, well, I'm making like $5,000 a month. It's pretty fun. Well, I'm paying myself $350 a week, and I'm working 6 days a week, 14 hours a day. Now, I'm not the smartest guy in the room, but I was smart enough to figure that one out. So I unload the restaurant, and I start selling cars. It's interesting. It took me a while to get going, but I remember once I started going and making $5,000, $6,000 a month, I told my office mate, I said, I'm going to own my own dealership someday, fairly soon, I think. He laughed at me. He'd been selling cars 10 years. He said, that's impossible. Well, I knew the secret by now, because I'd just done it with a restaurant. This is just a bigger fish to fry. So about a year after selling cars, I'm making $10,000 a month. I'm making $120,000 a year. I'm feeling pretty good. And once that happens, I get a phone call. Not on my cell phone back then, by the way. And it's the ex-wife. Hey, I got this Christmas party I got to go to. I don't have a date. Will you go with me? Sure. 6 months later, we're remarried. We have 3 more beautiful children. Believe me, that was a miracle. That was that vibration, energy, frequency going out every freaking day, getting into her subconscious mind. I've cleaned up my act. I'm making money. It all comes together. Next thing that happens, I meet some really, really great friends, good Christian men. We started having a Bible study in my garage every Tuesday. My friend got in trouble as a pastor, so I helped him build a new ministry. We create a whole group of men. We meet every Saturday for breakfast, and he would speak. We start running. We travel. It's so much fun. We run every night. We go around. We run half marathons. We're training for a marathon. I get up to 20 miles, and then I get injured. So I never finished that one. But I tried, and I got as close as I want, and then I moved on. That's the beautiful thing of creating intentions. You can always change them. You can write one tonight, and if it doesn't resonate tomorrow, you just write a new one. It's not that difficult, but it does take a little bit of work. You know, people have read this book all over the world, and we've created an app already embedded with the theta brainwave music. All over the world, they're doing this, okay? And they're having great success. But the ones that don't are the ones that believe in this microwave society, I call it. You want something to eat, you stick it in the microwave. Well, if you want to grow an oak tree, you got to put a seed in the ground, and you're going to wait a while until it comes out. That's how nature works. That's how the law of attraction works. That's how life works. So now, and after we have our second child, my son Michael, a friend calls me up. We're renting some little dungy little place. And he says, hey, man, I want to sell my house. I'll work out a deal. You can buy it with nothing down. Beautiful home. I'm in. So now, all these intentions are coming through. My life is fantastic. I eventually get my own car dealership. Then more car dealerships. Now I'm making millions of dollars. The contribution part, I did my best. I teach Bible study, speak at the church, coach Little League, help homeless people. We took in a homeless kid, 18-year-old homeless kid for 6 months, moved my daughter out of her room so he could live there. We rehabilitated his life, then we brought his buddy in. So I tried. I was doing something as best I could, right? But I never really fulfilled that intention. That's what I love about life. Fast forward to about 8 years ago. I lose somebody very, very, very dear to me. When I met her, she was 29 years old. 9 months later, she had stage 3 breast cancer. She fought it for 9 years, and she passed away at the age of 38. It was a horrendous death. That's what I love about this natural medicine. I call that treatment torture and murder for profit. But that devastated me in a way I've never been devastated before. In that devastation, there was no resistance. There was no self-centeredness. There was no ego. And God was able to come into my life and fillet open my heart and take out all the BS, all the self-centeredness, and replace it with love. And so that scar in my heart started to heal with love. When people go through a bad experience, they either grow better or they grow bitter. And I was blessed to grow better. And that changed everything. As a result of that, I started a nonprofit foundation working with women in the San Francisco Bay Area that were below the poverty line battling cancer, providing financial grants. That experience led to my belief that Western medicine isn't doing these ladies any good. They were at the mercy. They didn't even know what they were doing to them. They just cut off their breast, put a hole here, fill it with poison, put them on $1 million machine, radiate them, and wish them the best of luck. That led to me buying a farm in Colombia. That led to me meeting this beautiful woman who's my wife today. See, if we let go, I like to look at life as a river. I can swim upstream and fight it, or I could just jump in and see where life, God, my Creator, takes me. Then, our foundation, we started working with youth. So that finally came full circle. And while we were working with the women, we put 3 young men that were hooked on heroin, put them through rehab, and they're all doing amazing today. Off of heroin, providing love and service to the world and making it a better place. Now we work with foster kids out of the foster system, the juvenile system, mostly black in Oakland. And we're teaching them real life skills, how to interview for a job, We're Apple certified. We teach them all the Apple products technology. We bought a bunch of equipment, teach them how to make videos and audios. But we're also teaching them how to work on cars and how to sell cars so they can go out into the world and redo their program. We teach them my stuff, how to reprogram their mind. And see how life works? You create an intention, you stay true to it, and then if you do what this mystery man taught me, you record it, you listen, I really believe that everything is energy vibrating at a certain frequency. And when you embody that, you're going to attract that. You put it out in the universe, it comes to you. That's the power. So in closing, I just want to say, our greatest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our greatest fear is that we're powerful beyond belief. And ladies and gentlemen, everyone in this room is extremely powerful and probably a lot more powerful than you could ever imagine. So I have a book back here. If you're interested, I'll be around. It's also available on Amazon. There's a bunch of reviews on Amazon. There's a bunch of reviews on audible.com. You can see what other people are saying. It's a small little book. We just got a message from our publisher yesterday. In the first year, it sold more copies than Eckhart Tolle's Power of Now in the first year, same publisher. Now that went on to sell 7 million copies because he got on Oprah. So anybody know Oprah? No. So, then the other thing I did in our farm in Medellin, Colombia, is I created an online course where if you really, really want to go deep into this and understand the science behind it, it'll blow your mind. We really did a good job to create this because I want people to get this. Because if people can get this and they create a better life, a stronger, healthier life, better relationships, more financial success, financial freedom, then you can go create a better world in your community with your family and your neighbors, and we can fix this mess that we're living in, ladies and gentlemen. That's my ultimate purpose and my ultimate goal. So that course is called the Creation Frequency online course. And my people weren't too happy. It sells for $397. But because I have so much respect for David Brown, we'll discount it to you guys for $300 off. It's only $97. Now, when I started to change my life around as a young man in my 20s, I read a book that said, when you invest in yourself, it's not a cost, it's not an expense, it's an investment in you. So I wish I could download everything I have in my head and my heart and my soul and put it into, and you could get this, because I promise you it'll make your life better. It will end any habits you're struggling with if you do it properly. You get extremely healthy relationships, financial success, and more importantly, contribution. So I've loved this day. I had no idea what I was getting into when I came here. I've been blown away by the quality of the management team. I've been blown away by the investors. I've been blown away by the doctors and the advisory board. But I've been especially blown away by the quality of the distributors. You are the lifeblood of this company. And I applaud you and I encourage you to keep going. Even when it's tough, keep going. Make your life all it can be. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Mike. That was awesome.